How's it going, YouTube? Yeah, Pat back here, coach of the Sacramento Saints / bringing you our draft introduction for Mythical Mayhem. One of the very first leagues TGR ever put together, and it's still around. It's gone by a couple different names, TGR Restricted, now Mythical Mayhem, and it's just one of my favorite draft leagues to play in because the teams are just so insanely cool, and they just have like a crazy high power level. And this season is no different. So I'll chat about the teams that I had. We had a very interesting draft style for this one, so I'll talk a little bit about that too. And then in the background, of course, you'll have already seen this because it's already started. But you can see that I'm playing a game. I'm playing some games with the new team. I'm playing up against Misbag. He put together just a team with some Pokemon that weren't picked in the league. And I just wanted a chance to like try the team out a little bit and give you all something interesting to watch while I chat about the Pokemon that I have. If you're paying attention to all of what's happening on screen, then you'll be able to see some of the ones that we have. But yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm pretty excited about it. So, yeah, Mythical Mayhem. So the idea for this league is that it's a doubles league 4v4, and the power level just goes insanely high. You know, we have Pokemon like Eternatus, Calyrex Shadow, Zacian, Miraidon, Koraidon, you know, like Terrapago's in here. Like there's a ton of crazy Pokemon in the league. And so the drafting for this one, we also did a little bit different. So most of you are probably familiar with like a snake style draft, you know, like draft orders randomized. Somebody gets first pick, they have the pick of every Pokemon that they could take, and then someone has the last pick of first round, but they have this first pick of second round, and so there's like a little bit of give and take there. This one, we completely flip that on its head. So the way this works is you can basically pick anything round one, and everybody has a chance to pick anything. So we all simultaneously filled out a Google form, and then a moderator behind the scene just checked out what people said, and if there was a tie, nobody got the Pokemon. And if nobody wanted it besides you, then you got it. Is the short version of it. There was a little bit of like a bidding war that could kind of happen a little bit. So like, say I tried to get like Miraidon for like 3 extra points, and someone else tried to get Miraidon for like 2 extra points, then that would mean I got Miraidon for 3 extra points than what it was worth. So the drafting was very interesting for this, and I'm just gonna let y'all know that like I basically made all of my picks with no extra points for the entire draft. So I didn't spend any extra budget on any Pokemon, but people did. People hella did. Like, let me give you an example here. So in the doc, the highest Pokemon point value was 17 points, and Calyrex Shadow Rider went for 34. So it increased in price for a while, is the short version of all of that. Yeah, Mon just jumped up in price for like the entire thing. And there were other Mons that went up in price. You know, there's something that went like Calyrex Ice went for 23, Koraidon went for 20. I think Miraidon got picked for some extra points too, but I don't remember how much that was. Yeah, so there was a lot of extra bidding going on, and I just completely avoided it throughout the entire thing. I just figured like, I tend to like playing balanced teams in some way. And so I figured with this strategy of not paying any extra, then I could just have a good mixture of Pokemon where I didn't have to pay anything extra for them. And I ended up with an insane team. Like, this team would not have been possible for me to pick had we done our normal drafting strategy. That's the short, yeah, it just would not have been possible. So anyway, let me actually talk about what I got. So the first Pokemon that I got was Kyogre, and I legit put it on there for like, I think 0 extra points, because I wanted whoever got Kyogre, I wanted them to spend extra. And then I got it for no extra points, and it's like, what is this? Like, I didn't actually want this Pokemon. Like, I just wanted someone else not to have it. So yeah, that could happen too. So I ended up with Kyogre. Like, I absolutely hate this Pokemon. I hate Kyogre so much. I've never used it. I've always played against it, and it's just the worst Pokemon to play against. It just like, how are you gonna deal with like Choice Specs, Water Spout, and Rain? And like, if you don't have Wide Guard, often the times the answer is you just don't. Yeah, so Resists are not resist to Kyogre. This Pokemon has an absolutely insane attack stat. 150 special attack. It's got crazy bulk too. It's got like reasonable speed at 90. So I don't know. If you've never looked at Kyogre stats, it's incredible. It's like over 100 in almost everything, and some things are 150, which is like, if you're at 150 special attack, you're hitting insanely hard. It just is what it is. So anyway, yeah, Kyogre got that. So now I guess I'm building a rain team, and we're just gonna roll with some kind of rain team. And so there's some discussion and like thought about like, what do I want to get him next? Nobody actually went for Zacian Crown in round 1, so its price had not increased at all, and obviously nobody had it. So I just tried to go for Zacian Crown in round 2. I figured like Steel type, good in rain. Yeah, it's only weak to ground and fire. Obviously fire gets reduced by our rain. Ground types don't want to fight against Kyogre. Like, it seemed like a pretty good combo. So, yeah, and I managed to get the Zacian Crown without any extra points spent either. And I think that was my first choice that time. Kyogre was like 3rd, I think, in the previous round. But yeah, Zacian Crown was first choice. And this one is also insane. I talked a little bit about like how well it works with Kyogre. I know last generation in Sword and Shield, this was a very popular combo in like the dual restricted ladder format. Just because of how strong the mons work together. Of course, you had like the extra damage against Dynamax targets. That obviously doesn't matter now. But yeah, obviously Zacian is just still a really good Pokemon. There is a bit of a downside. The ability only triggers once in a game, so I'll just need to be careful about how I use Intrepid Sword. I don't get as much benefit from having like pivoting in and out with the Mon. But honestly, it's already got 150 attack stat. Like, it's already really good. Even if I don't have the like choice band boost, essentially, from the Intrepid Sword, it's still gonna hit hard. And honestly, that was part of like when I actually looked at his stats a little more, and I was like, wait, it's not 150 attack stat. Like, that's the same as Kyogre. You know what I mean? It's for physical instead of special. I'm like, that's completely fine. If I get intimidated and now I'm now at neutral instead of being at +1, like, oh no, I still have 150 attack stat. Like, I still am gonna hit hella hard. I'm also still 148 speed, faster than a ton of Pokemon out there. So, I don't know. I figured it was fine. I figured it was probably okay. And I used regular Zacian in my previous season, and absolutely loved using that actually. I did enjoy that wasn't item locked. So Zacian Crowned, of course, has to use the rest of stored, but I think it'll be okay. I think it's gonna be completely fine. So anyway, so yeah, I have those two. Obviously, really strong pairing. One very physical Mon, one very special Mon. A good amount of like support utility with Drizzle from Kyogre. So team is looking pretty good. I'm really pleased with how it's shaping together. Honestly, just after 2 picks, like this already feels like a combination that would not have been possible in our normal drafting strategy if we had like that snake draft. So yeah, next round, I ended up going for Urshifu single strike. I figure like I don't want people to bring Protect against me as often, and if they do bring Protect, then I just don't want to be able to attack them. So yeah, I brought Urshifu single strike. Again, no extra point value. Mon is absolutely insane. Does so much damage. I used it in our tag team previously, so I'm familiar with it and how it works in this really high power level format. And I had a good time with it. I actually ended up bringing bulky sets fairly often, but I had Scarf a couple of times, and I know Matrix got banned a couple of times because it was a shared Mon that we could both use. And so, yeah, but I figured that would be great. So another high power physical threat. And it's hard to deal with all of these, right? It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to try to bring Fairy Mons when you have to deal with Zacian for that steel coverage. Steel stab, not even coverage. So like, I really like that. Breaking through Protect, like I mentioned. Sometimes you want to try to have Protect against weather teams so you can stall out rain turns or sun turns, whatever, right? So having that ability to just like continue to pressure on with offense from Urshifu, I really liked, and very happy to have picked up them on. Next round, I grabbed Zapdos. So again, kind of mixing up that physical special threat. As well as Zapdos can just do a ton of different things. Like, it can be a very bulky Pokemon with like Roost and Eerie Impulse and stuff like that. Static is a nice ability, just to be able to get some paras and get like a little bit of like pseudo speed control going on. So yeah, really happy to have got Zapdos, and I think it's a mon that like I in general do not like Zapdos. It's not one of my favorite Pokemon, and I much prefer not using it. I had it for a singles league a while back, and the amount of times I missed Hurricane and just lost the game because of it was just far too many. I couldn't deal with it. I think I went like almost winless that season too. Like the mod just did not vibe with me. I think it was my first pick in that season, and it just I just haven't been a fan of it. But that's singles, right? And this is doubles, and I have Rain this time. And so I kind of figured if I can kind of bring Zapdos into what I kind of feel is its ideal environment, where it's got Rain, so we can go for Thunder, we can go for Hurricane, and not have a chance of missing, then I felt like that was a pretty good place. I also fairly like Zapdos a little bit in doubles. I think it's a little more useful there than I like it in singles. So I think it's like bulky Eerie Impulse sets do more in doubles than they do in singles. So like I kind of wanted that as an option. So I gave myself a little bit more bulk on the team. I definitely wanted to have that like strong electric typing too, just to be able to counter opposing water types that will want to try to deal with Kyogre. And then I also wanted that strong flying stab to hit the grass types that again try to resist Kyogre. So I really like Zapdos for that reason, and I'm glad to have picked that up. And the next pick was really about utility. I have a lot of speed, a lot of offense. Team's looking really good, and so I ended up going for Meowstic Male. So I got that Prankster ability here. It has Rain Dance, so I can kind of set Rain with if I don't have Kyogre, or if the opponent changes it somehow, I can get that back set up to support Zapdos, to support Kyogre, to support Zacian Ground. So I really liked Meowstic for that reason. I also didn't have Fake Out at this point, so I wanted kind of that option. I don't know how often I'll bring Fake Out, but being able to slow down a turn and kind of pause my opponent from being able to do anything, it has its its uses. And so I was happy to grab that one. Also has Prankster Screens. It's got Thunder Wave for some speed control. I looked at it and I was really, really impressed by its move pool. It's got a lot of really good options on the Prankster side of things. Those status moves are very good. And so I felt really good about picking up this Pokemon. It's one that I hadn't used. I've mostly kind of like gone toward the like Grimmsnarls and the Sableyes, you know. And I think that's partially because I kind of like the dark motif style stuff going on. And Meowstic is just not that. It's like this cute little cat. So anyway, I grabbed Meowstic here. And I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to have a ton of different options to help out the team. If I remember correctly, it has Prankster Fake Tears too. So we can reduce some special defense to even greater support Kyogre, like it needs it. And Zapdos, again, like it needs it. So I just thought that was a cool option for the team. So yeah, very excited for Meowstic Male here. And then the next one I was looking at, I think I had a couple picks planned after this one, and it was just a matter of like prioritizing which ones I felt were more important. So I dipped down pretty low in points and grabbed Torterra. And that was mainly because like I kind of wanted a ground type, but almost all the ground types I was looking at just felt like they were like severely debilitated in Rain. And I felt like Rain was like a huge problem for them. And I just didn't like it, and I didn't think I was going to end up with a ground type at all. And I was like, you know what? I'm kind of interested in Torterra. It's got some cool moves. If I remember correctly, I thought it had Wide Guard, which is usually pretty powerful to have in this style of format, where there's just so many good spread moves like Water Spout, like Astral Barrage. What's the Ice Glacial Lance? So like there's quite a few Pokemon. Precipice Blades. You know, there's a ton of Pokemon that have very good spread moves. So Wide Guard is pretty valuable to have on a team just in general. So that's one of the reasons I picked up Torterra. It's just nice to have that option available to you, especially in this style of format. And then, like I mentioned, ground typing. I just want to have like that electric immunity. I didn't go for any Pokemon kind of like Raichu. Raichu is a very common Pokemon on like this style of team. But I went for Zapdos. I thought that would be really cool to have. That were like really powerful electric type that was like mainly there for its attack rather than its utility. So anyway, so I grabbed Torterra here. The grass typing is also really cool. I think that's going to be nice to go after some of the water types that potentially come against our team, trying to either take advantage of Kyogre or to resist Kyogre in some way. So yeah, I like Torterra there. And yeah, it just has a ton of different moves, you know. It's one of those early gen starter Pokemon, and they just tend to have a lot of options. Shell Smash is maybe something I might try this season. I think it'd be kind of cool if I'm able to pull off some kind of Shell Smash sweep in doubles here. So that would be neat. But yeah, it also has a ton of utility, just good damage, good stats. It's a slower Pokemon. I kind of wanted something a little bit slower on the team because like Trick Room looks quite good against me at the moment. So if I can like avoid Trick Room or take advantage of it in some way with my own Pokemon, then I think that really helps out the team. Next up, I grabbed Spectrier. And oh boy, I was still cracking up about this. I don't know how this Pokemon made it all the way to me. How was I able to get Urshifu, Single Strike, and Spectrier on the same team together? Like those two Pokemon, like especially last generation for singles, was like insane. It was like, how do you deal with these two things? Really high physical attack on the Urshifu. You break through those dark types, those normal types, and then you have Spectrier to clean up afterwards, right? Really strong special attacker on that side. So you like Urshifu Single Strike just completely cleans up teams for Spectrier to just like bully them. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it just is what it is, right? So I grabbed Spectrier. So, and I also have Grimnay. Having that kind of snowball effect ability, I think has been really powerful in a ton of teams I've used. I've had several like league wins where I've had like Celesteela, or I've had Cephalon, stuff like that. Nihilego in a singles run that I did. So like having that kind of like Beast Boost, Grimnay, snowball potential, like I pick up a KO just by attacking and I get stronger because of it. I think is a really powerful ability to have on a team in general. And it doesn't necessarily matter which Mon is bringing that, but I think it's good to have something like that. So there's a bit of like a sweet potential by putting on offensive pressure, and that has a lot of impact on the game. So yeah, so Spectrier was definitely something I wanted to snag here. I think it's a really good combo with Urshifu. I feel like I was looking at some other options instead of Spectrier, and I just landed on Spectrier because I just thought it looked good. It really helped my speed tiers out a little bit. Like I had kind of Zapdos at 100 and then up to Zacian Crowned at 148. So I wanted something kind of in the mix there in between those, which was really nice. Technically Meowstic is 104, but like that Pokemon is Prankster, so it kind of doesn't have a speed stat in my opinion. So getting a bit of filling in the gap between that Zapdos and Zacian Crowned I thought was nice. And one of the things that I also really liked about Spectrier is that it has Haze. And of course, Dondozo and Tatsugiri are picked up in a league like this, like they're just a strong combo, and people don't want to try to break up that combo by typically trying to grab a Mon that they think is overpriced, because it's overpriced to kind of counteract the combination of those two Pokemon. So I have Haze, so I can kind of deal with Tatsugiri and Dondozo a little bit. In general, it also just helps against setup threats. You know, like there's a lot of strong Pokemon that are very bulky. And sometimes they can take advantage of some of the weaker attacking or slower Pokemon in this style of league. So having that Haze option to just get rid of stat boost and ignore what they have going on is good. So I actually really valued Spectrier for some of the oh my gosh, I'm blanking here. Some of the support options it has. There we go. some of the support options. So stuff like Will-O-Wisp, stuff like Taunt. I'm pretty sure it still has Bulldoze. I know that was a move that was pretty common on it last gen. So stuff like that, you know, just being able to take advantage of some of the support options that it has, and then to also have that ability to clean up with 145 on that special attack stat. Second strongest attacker on my team, right below Kyogre. So really good, strong special attacker to kind of pair up with the rest of the team. And after that, I started looking for more utility kind of picks. So I will say the next 3 Pokemon I have on my team are just not high offensive options. They just aren't. They just don't hit as hard. But I wanted to have a bit of a mix, and of course, like at this point in the draft, we're starting to run a little bit lower on points, and so you kind of gotta take some interesting mons that you can kind of make work. And so I ended up going for Fezandipity, which I've used before. I've used this mon a couple times. I've had like a love-hate relationship with it. It's low offensive output, makes me cry sometimes. Like it just does not hit hard enough to be a threat. But Toxic Chain is a very good ability. And it also gives me Tailwind, so I have a second Tailwinder with Zapdos at this point. So I have a little bit of options for speed control. It's fairly quick on its own. Also has Taunt, so like it's got some good stuff going on. I can also spread some attack moves with Icy Wind, and so I can get some speed drops that way, as well as the chance for Toxic Chain to get some chip damage going on. So I just kind of liked the variability and the options that Fezandipity could do. And I just thought it looked like a good mon to support the team. At this point, I don't have a poison type. Like I do kind of want to have another fairy resist. Like I don't want to rely on Zacian Crown to always come in and take those hits when they're aimed at Urshifu. And so I figured Fez was kind of that way of making that happen. And the fairy typing here is, like I do have double fairy. Not really a big deal, just because like Fez and Zacian, they share the ground weakness, but they don't share anything else. So I think it's fine. I love the amount of bulk that it has. It's really nice to have a good amount of bulk when you're playing in this style format, like giving yourself options to pivot and bring in some bulkier threats that can take the hit and then take another hit and kind of do some stuff afterwards. So I liked Fez for that option, and I thought it looked pretty good on the team. And then I went for Cyclizar. I don't have a dragon at this point. I actually don't think a dragon is super important for the team, but I did want to kind of have that option just to diversify a little bit. So I grabbed a normal type, I grabbed a dragon type, and I thought this was kind of a nice option. It's got Shed Tail. Like that's like one of the things it can do for this league and this team. And so I can Shed Tail, go into Zacian Crown, Sword Stance, go wild, right? Go into Kyogre, Set Rain, Specs Water Spout, go crazy. So like there's probably that really like kind of clear role that Cyclizar has here. It also helps us to like split up the speed tier between Spectrier and Zapdos a little bit. You know, it's a pretty big gap at 30. And so kind of cutting that down a little bit for Cyclizar is kind of nice. But it also just has a good amount of utility moves. I think it also has Taunt. It's got like stuff like Knockoff. It actually has a wide variety of coverage moves, which I always forget for Cyclizar, but it's got like grass coverage, it's got electric coverage, it just has a ton of different other moves that are available to it. So I think it's an interesting one to have access to and have available for the team. And Shed Tail. All right, next mon, Golduck. Grabbed Golduck here. We wanted to Swift Swimmer. You know, at this point, like the team is kind of a collection of good stuff in Kyogre. You know what I mean? So having Golduck here gives me a little bit of that oomph. You know, let's take a little bit advantage, like a little bit more advantage of our rain. And so we have that Swift Swim option here. Golduck's a neat mon. It's like, it feels like mediocre to average at kind of everything it does. So we'll see if I can make it work. I don't actually know how much Golduck is really going to have an impact on the season, but I am excited to try it out. Like I want to have that Swift Swim option with Kyogre, and so I think Golduck kind of gives me that. But this team I really love a lot. It tends to fit a lot of the things I like when I'm talking about playing Pokemon. Like I love good balanced teams. I love having a ton of different options available to me that I feel are all good. Like I'm not a huge fan of going like, you know, having like 6 or 7 Pokemon that are just ultra really good, and then like 3 or 4 Pokemon that like I'm just not looking to bring to a game. I think with this kind of team, I'm looking to pretty much bring everything. Cyclizar and Golduck are a little bit lower on the tier status, but they are less points. You know, like they just aren't quite as strong when you stack them next to Kyogre and Zacian Crown. So they're not going to come to too many games, but I do want to have that option that feels like it feels like you got to prep for it. You know, like you need to be able to deal with Zacian Crown behind screens after I get a Shed Tail off. Like you got to be able to deal with the rain mode for Golduck coming in, and maybe I use Soak to let Zapdos go crazy. So there's some stuff that these Pokemon can do, and I'm pretty excited to use this team. You've been able to see the team in action a little bit in the background here, playing FPS Miss Mag. I mentioned that earlier in the video, but huge shout out to him for throwing a team together and putting something together so we could play a game. And y'all got something cool to watch. And of course, if you'd like to catch how this season goes, definitely just like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And you can kind of follow as I put out videos for our games throughout the season. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.